And go, hello, world. My name is Ashley Collins. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Breakup Diaries, or my Facebook channel, either or. Regardless, welcome. I'm super excited for this guest right now. Will you please introduce us to yourself?
Yes, my name is Quinn. On my podcast, I'm also known as Young, and it's not a bite out for Jeezy or nobody from back in the day. It was just like for a minute, I was like the oldest but looked the youngest in my group of friends. So they always used to say I look young. So, you know what I'm saying? It just caught on like that.
And then you host a couple of podcasts. Can you talk to us about them?
Yes. So 2015, I started podcasting with a friend of mine. And his name is Royalty. So we started with a hip hop podcast called Hop Rejectz. And the premise of Hop Rejectz was that I was born in 85, he was born in 86. So growing up, I grew up, my uncle was a big hip hop head. So I grew up listening to LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee, the classics. And so when the advent of mumble rap started catching on, and it was just like, are they fake tongue twisting? Like, are they trying to do like some bone twister, do or die type stuff, but because they can't actually do it, it was that. So me and him felt the same way. So we was always talking about it. So we were just like, let's make a podcast on it, and we're rejecting today's hip hop. But that was 2015. But as time progressed, we mentally had to adjust and say it's an evolution. Things evolve, people evolve. Even though we don't care for the music, we have to accept that this is where the music is right now. So, but
who was one of the first popular mumble rappers?
I think it was like the Migos or it because I feel like it stemmed from Lil Wayne,
Yeah.
Because Lil Wayne wasn't mumble rapping, Lil Wayne was high rapping.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He was just high all the time.
So when you get like when you go back to when Future first came out with I think his first big song was Tony Montana. So you think back on it, Future sounded like he was mimicking Wayne's high flow. And then it just evolved from there. And so started feeling like they were trying to combine rapping and singing together, which people was just like, well, why y'all hate that? Because one of y'all favorite rappers used to do it. Speaking of Chameleonaire, Andre 3000, maybe a little Nelly from time to time, people like that. But there's a distinct difference in what they did versus what's going on now. More than likely, with what they did with the singing or whatnot, it was basically almost like a hook premise. It wasn't the whole song. So, except for Under 3000 with The Love Below was just an eclectic album.
Yeah.
So, but when you think about Andre 3000 as a rapper previous to The Love Below, that was him just spitting bars. So, I mean, it's one of those things of evolution, and we just had to, wrap our minds around what was going on. And just so it happened to be rappers out there that we felt that we hold a high tier with today's generation of rappers, such as Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Joyner Lucas, Logic, people like that. So that's where that stemmed from. And NerdFlow, which it's more than me and Royalty. It's me, Royalty, my friend Tank, Briario, Snapback, and Dope Gamer, and Angry B Guy. I ain't want to throw everybody governments out there. So
Yeah.
it's one of that first started off as me and royalty because it was a segment. It was a segment within Hip Hop Rejectz. Bless you.
Thank you.
So within Hip Hop Rejectz, we had that segment, and we were just like, let's make this its own thing. And that's how NerdFlow was born. And we just didn't want it to be just us two because we felt like we already have a platform with just us two. Let's give other people a platform to speak that's like-minded as us. So it started off as 4 people, then it broke down to 3, and then we ended up with 8. And because of Angry B Guy's work schedule, he hasn't been on the show in a long time. But he's still a part of the team. So, the thing is, we prioritize like until we reach a place where where you could do this full time. We understand in your personal life, you have you have to take care of your bills. You have to, so that's understandable.
Yeah.
So it's not like not kicking nobody off the team. Now, thankfully, I work from 6 to 3. So I can always make the show at night. So it's just I don't have a fluctuating schedule like that.
And how often? When do you guys stream?
We stream Hip Hop Rejectz. We stream on Saturday nights every other week because we like I said, hip hop is kind of slow right now as far as news is concerned. Mostly what we'll be ending up doing is something like Angela Yee just doing a rumor report all the time. So, we're waiting on like we trying to see major albums drop, stuff like that. But NerdFlow is every week, Sunday nights at 9:30 Central Time. And thankfully for Disney, Marvel, just media period with, that with that genre, with different genres of entertainment, it keeps us, having something to talk about because we cover anime, we cover wrestling, we cover TV. I mean, comic books, superhero movies, cartoons in general, and just movies in general. Like tonight, we will stream tonight. Most of it will be about Coming to America and WandaVision season finale. Well, we're seeing more like a series finale, but we'll see what's to come with that.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to talk about both of those things. But firstly, I want to talk about the Space Jam trailer. Did you see it?
Let me go ahead.
What are your thoughts on Space Jam 2?
So my thing is this. When it first started becoming a thing, I'm not a LeBron James fan as a basketball player.
Why?
I'm a fan of the man and everything he does business wise and in the community. But as a basketball player, I'm not a fan. I feel like that he always saying he wasn't trying to be Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like he came into the league with so much hype that and at the time when he came into the league, I felt like Carmelo Anthony had proven himself more.
Yeah.
Because he had gone to Syracuse his freshman year, won a championship. I felt like Dwayne Wade. I felt like they played on a bigger stage than LeBron coming straight out of high school. I was wrong. I can admit that. I'm still not a fan because I feel like he gets away with murder and he's always crying and flopping. But that's my opinion. And people call me a hater. Like as they say, I'm one of the biggest LeBron haters. I feel like that word hater is used in a way. Like I don't hate the man.
Mm-hmm.
So don't say I'm a hater because in my mind that's registering as I hate him. I'm just not a fan. But when it breaks down to Space Jam, I felt like Space Jam was something that should have been left to in Michael Jordan's legacy. You know, and
Yeah.
the redesigns of like call it what you want, but me and a lot of people I associate with, we really don't like Lola Bunny's redesign.
Why?
Because it's just like I know we're in a different time period, and I know a lot of people felt like when Space Jam originally came out, looking back on it, they feel like she was over sexualized to make it look like she was a female bunny. But that also, like the design she has now, the only reason you know she's a female bunny is because of the fact that she will have a female voice and that she has female, features in the face, to make her look feminine. But it was just like I felt like her design was better because she had more of a, even though she had the breast and the short shorts and stuff, it was an athletic build drawn to her. Now she just looks like a thin figure, and they got her. I mean, because when we watch women's basketball, we still see all of how they designed her anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was the difference of it being a kid? Like, the thing is, I feel like you're trying to shelter things from children that they're going to see it every day in their home. You're going to see your mom with boobs every day. You're probably going to see her walk around in a sports bra. You're probably going to see her. You probably going to have days when she just don't care, and she may walk out her room with nothing on, and you're going to be like, yo, Ma, chill out. I mean, I'm pretty sure we probably all didn't experience that before. Yeah. So, I mean, you're trying to shelter them from realities of life. So why, when it comes to a cartoon, would you even scale it back like that, trying to say it's over sexualized when anything in life that we experience can be over sexualized?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. I had a young mom. A lot of my friends have young moms. So when your mom, when you're 13 and your mom is in her 20s and she comes in, because you have to realize, even though she's a mom, she's still in her 20s. So she's going to dress like she's in her 20s. And she comes in, your friends are going to be like, oh, yo, dog, your mom's fine. I didn't say it about my friends' parents. They didn't say it about my mom. It just it's reality. And I feel like, with cartoons, like when you go back, when you look at kids' cartoons today versus when I grew up in the 90s, there's a total difference of content structure. It was grounded. We were grounded in reality when it comes to cartoons and love stories. And, X-Men had a love triangle between Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine.
Yeah.
That was our first experience with a whole love triangle.
Yeah.
That was our soap opera.
Yeah.
And then if you were a kid in the 90s and you went to your grandmother's house, you watched soap operas. You knew about Young and the Restless, All My Children, all that type of stuff. So it's just one of those things where I feel like we're trying to shelter these kids so much that's why they step out and get into, when they step out and get into the real world, they're not prepared. No. But some try to go into the real world super early before they're even prepared. So it's just like, sometimes we have to let media and the environment prepare us and prepare these kids for what's coming next.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So now, talking about Coming to America 2, did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
What did you think? What did you think of it?
I never expected it to be as good or better than the first.
I don't like that answer.
Because of the fact that it's 30 years later. First of all, let me get this out the way. I didn't appreciate the fact that they were trying to say, oh, what are they trying to do? Make Zamunda look like Wakanda? I'm like, it's 30 years later. New York City today does not look like New York City back 30 years ago. Nigeria today does not look like Nigeria 30 years ago. It's like y'all didn't think about the fact that it's 30 years later. So, of course, there has been some evolution in technology. 30 years ago, we didn't have all the technology. Even where you live, I'm pretty sure it doesn't look like it looked 30 years ago.
Definitely.
So I didn't see one bullet train. I didn't see one flying car. I didn't see no futuristic buildings or anything. It was pretty much the same castle from the first coming to America. So why were they trying to steal from Wakanda or make it look like Wakanda? I never saw that comparison. So that, second of all, 30 years later, I wouldn't expect it because the storyline and the times were different. You can't dive into that type of what comedy was back then versus what's accepted now. So us in our minds, we can't, the things that were discussed back then that you were allowed to get away without getting canceled, you can't do today.
So it's pretty PG with the humor?
It's pretty PG.
That sucks.
In my opinion, but I a lot of people saying that they hate it. I'm like, that's cool. A lot of people saying they love it. I'm like, that's cool. Because when it all boils down to it, those of us that are commenting, those actors still got paid more than we get paid in a year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years. So it doesn't matter.
Our opinion doesn't matter. Thank you for those of you who are watching live, by the way. I'm not ignoring your comments. If you're commenting, I cannot view them. I'm going to figure this out one day. I promise. Thank you for your patience and thank you for viewing live. So I have questions about WandaVision. For those of you who have not seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to ask like very basic questions because I started watching it recently and I'm a little confused. So I'd like you to answer those questions for me.
Okay, I will.
If you don't mind. So first of all, where did Wanda's accent go?
So the thing is, her accent, she's adjusting and evolving with her environment. Think about it. Think about somebody like Tina Turner. Tina Turner's real name is Anime Bullock, and I think she's from Alabama or Georgia, one of the two. Originally had a real deep Southern accent. Tina Turner has lived in the UK probably since the late 80s, early 90s. And now when she speaks with a British accent, but you still have that little Southern drawl in it.
Oh.
It's just adjusting to your environment. She's been around with Wanda, she's been around all these Americans basically. And she spoke English. So when you're around all these Americans and you're trying to, escape the fact of that you were in Sokovia, because that was a bad phase for her. The fact that she, everything. She lost her parents, she lost her brother, she was tested on, so she's trying to escape that reality. So one of the things that she unconsciously did was, Americanize her accent. And I think it was just better for the actor, Elizabeth Olsen, to not have to do that accent all the time.
And I feel so bad because, I guess I barely paid attention to her in the movies. But or maybe like she had. I know that in Infinity War she had speaking roles, but like I was kind of like, let's move on, hurry up, like. So watching the show, I was like, oh, where did that come from? Okay, another question. So is sword like the adapted shield?
No, so you have sword and you have shield.
Okay.
You shield was the shield for it protected it protected the planet. Sword is the attack to protect the planet.
Oh.
So sword is, you know, sword is above shield. Shield was under, so it's like a tiers. Shield was secret, but sword was extra secret. But after the events of the snap and everything like that, then everything came into the open because they had to readjust and acclimate to what had happened and start preparing just in case something else like that happens. And then the fact that they knew it was heroes out there that can pretty much blow them off the map. That's why it's when you think about it, when you think about DC, when you think about Marvel, once the government finds out that they're not the most powerful people on the planet, then they start trying to either control the heroes or villainize them.
Yeah.
And Shield didn't villainize the heroes, but it seemed like that's what Sword is trying to do.
Okay. Next question. Because they made a comment that Wanda's so strong she could have taken on Thanos on her own, and so could have Captain Marvel. You don't agree with that?
I do.
You do. So why didn't they? Without the cliche, it wouldn't make a good movie.
So just think about it. Wanda was fighting on pure when she was fighting. Do you remember when she was fighting Thanos? In
the forest.
No, in Endgame.
I don't remember.
Okay, so when she's fighting Thanos in Endgame, she's fighting as a woman pissed because Thanos has killed Vision. So her emotions are just spilling out. She doesn't have full control of her powers.
Oh.
Captain Marvel is still new to it at the time also. She doesn't know the extent of her powers. So that's why in the movies, it makes sense that they didn't just take on Thanos. They don't know the extent of their powers because they're fairly new to learning how to use their powers based on not emotion or fight or flight, instinct. They're learning to control them just being a part of them.
Just kind of like Jean as the Phoenix.
Right. Once Jean learned how to control being the Phoenix, then she was able, even though Jean was so I control one. Wanda is a mutant, Jean is a mutant. They are both. Jean as the Phoenix is a mutant. They're both Omega level mutants. So Wanda can create and destroy. Jean is only going to destroy because that's what the Phoenix power is made to do, is destroy. So that's why, those two exist.
Okay.
I wish we had seen that showdown in the comics between Scarlet Witch and
who do you think would win? The Phoenix or
Wanda?
Ooh, really?
Because Wanda has chaos magic. She can create and destroy. So the thing is, as Jean as the Phoenix, she also has psychic powers. So that would be just a test of wills. Mm-hmm. And then it just depends on who is more. And I'm not saying this because they're women. It's just based on the characters. Who is more emotionally sound.
Yeah. That makes sense. No, you're fine. I don't.
I just know I said that just because I know when we talk about emotions in women
It's true
that
though.
you know it's just like I hate that that term. I hear a lot of people use why we won't have a woman president. Is just like if she's wake up and she's on her period and having a bad day, we'll end up in a war. I really don't agree with that at all because women are some of the strongest. Like I was raised by women. These are the
Yeah.
strongest creatures on the planet with what they take on and have to deal with. I mean, true enough, just like with males, I know some strong men, but I also know some weak and dense men, and I know some weak and dense women. So it
Yeah.
applies to both of us. I'm
Yeah.
not a misogynistic type person. I I personally feel like every man needs a strong woman to not walk behind him, but walk beside him.
Yeah.
And sometimes she needs to walk in front.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly feel that way. So but getting back on topic,
Okay. So, who is your favorite Spider-Man?
you talking about the
There is a
actors?
wrong answer, by the way.
You're talking about the actors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a wrong answer.
I never had one, and it's because of I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
why. Andrew Garfield is the sarcasm. It's like they broke his personality into three different, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Garfield is the sarcasm. Even though Tobey Maguire had the sarcasm, it wasn't to the level of Andrew Garfield's. So Tobey Maguire was the more emotional one.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Spider-Man dealing with his relationships and stuff like that, that was, his emotional side. Now, oh my God, I just drew it. Tom Holland
Yeah.
is the Spider-Man growing into himself. So when you think about it, they kind of like did it backwards. Had we did the Tom Holland's first,
Then
the Andrew Garfield
Oh, no.
second,
Oh,
and
okay.
then the Tobey Maguire, because when you think about it, Tom is the youngest Spider-Man actor we've had. Then Andrew Garfield was more of the, college. Tom is the high school. Andrew Garfield is the college, and Tobey Maguire was in the working world, the adult. So it would have made like if we could reverse it, then that's how it would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just showing steps in his life. So that's why I never had a favorite. Is because each one it seems like is in a different time in his life.
Okay, I'll take that answer. I'll take it. Okay. What is the Zack Snyder stuff?
Okay, so the original Justice League that came out, like a lot of people hated it. I hated it.
Everyone hated it.
But Zack Snyder version that he originally wanted to do before he got kicked off of directing that movie had more of what we wanted. So when it appears, like it had more of an end game, like an Infinity Wars end game feel to it. But Warner Brothers, removed him from the movie, and they edited a lot from the movie because the new director didn't agree with it. Hence why the movie sucked. Because more than likely the new director was not a fan of comic books. I really feel like people should not should not write scripts or work on or direct movies that have no knowledge of what's going on. Hence, movie that I hate the most is Dragon Ball Evolution, because the director nor nobody on the cast or writers anything knew anything about Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why that movie sucked. You have to have some knowledge of the subject matter.
Yeah. So okay, so it is the same movie, but it's not the same movie. And is Zach? And I saw a scandal. Zach didn't get paid for this.
I don't think so because he just wanted his vision to be seen,
That's very
which,
humble.
which he'll get paid eventually.
Okay, so speaking of getting paid, was Terrence Howard stupid for not going into Iron Man 2?
I'm not gonna say he was stupid. I'm going to
Or just
say
a word?
I'm going to say that he made a personal decision that he felt like was best for him. I can't call people stupid for decisions they make that they feel is best for them. You know, because I made some decisions in my life I felt like that were best for me at that time. And it's up to myself to look back on them and be like, that was a stupid ass decision. If what everybody else thinks about what I do in my life is no concern to me. And I
True.
feel that way. I shouldn't feel that way about somebody else's life.
True. Plus, if he would have taken it, then he wouldn't be doing gosh, what's the TV show with Empire?
Empire.
Because that's still on, right?
I think so. I'm not sure. I haven't watched Empire in a long time. Like,
Okay.
it started getting into the realm of how power started just getting crazy. Empire just started getting crazy. So once it deviates from reality, I just kind of like I got enough fantasy going on this side of me. I need some type of reality. That's why I still watch Law and Order SVU because it's more grounded in reality.
Everyone watches Law and Order. You're literally the fourth person who I've interviewed who has said that. That's so weird. Gosh, you're chilled right now. That's so weird. Wow, that's deja vu's going crazy right now. Okay, so we'll talk about reality, I guess. Peter Pan, Dumbo, the Aristocats. What else? I think Jungle Book has been blocked for under 7-year-olds. Adults can still watch it, but like, who's really sitting down watching Dumbo as an adult? But what are your thoughts on that?
So this is like what I told y'all, what I was speaking on earlier. Considering the time of when these movies were made, a lot of things were accepted then. I feel like the world we live in now is so sensitive.
Yeah.
That okay, it was racist. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, not saying it was right, but it was in the time period of which it came. So therefore, we can't judge that because like my mom literally has a case with nothing but Disney movies on VHS.
Same.
You know, from the time we watched all this stuff when we were kids, and it did not register in our minds at that time that was racist. Okay, when you get older and you get more experience in the world, okay, it's racist, but okay, it happened.
Yeah.
So it's just like now, what was then doesn't concern me. It's what's going on right now.
Yes.
So that's what I have a problem with. I'm not worried about what they put into a cartoon. It's what's going on now. That should require more of our attention.
Yes.
So like I really don't care. I haven't watched a lot of those movies in years anyway. So I really just don't care. Because if you want to counsel something, if you want to go back and counsel something, I guess you can counsel the Wizard of Oz too for pretty much making fun of little people in the month with the munchkins. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, you literally call those people munchkins. So I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel like people putting too much energy in the wrong places.
Heard that. Heard that. Okay. We're gonna do a speed round. We have to pick one.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna start off easy and we're gonna get harder and harder.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You got served or step up?
What was step up again?
That already says it.
I mean,
That's the one with Channing Tatum.
oh, I'll go you guys. Even though I ain't like either movie, I've seen both of them. I'll go you guys served because I was I hated B2K, but I was a Marcus Houston fan. So
yeah. So funny. Okay. Cisco or Neo?
Cisco. No, I take that back. I'm Neo. That's why it's called a speed round. Neo. I got to think back on it. He got a better catalog.
Okay. Neo or John Wick?
John Wick.
Really?
Yeah. I like that. I guess because I'm an emotional person, I don't like emo characters.
True.
And Neo was so emo. John Wick is just like what I would like to be.
True.
Like if I have a problem, just go out there. Like if I have a problem with somebody or somebody wrongs me, like, okay, just calmly go take care of business. And there aren't really too many consequences I have to face, but when those consequences come, I feel like I'm more than capable to take on those consequences and then still come out on the other side.
True. Brandy or Monica?
Monica.
Cardi B or No, yeah, I agree with you. That's not even worth discussion. Cardi B or Lil Kim?
Cardi.
Blasphemy.
No, I'm gonna tell you why Cardi. Cardi has. I feel like Lil Kim, even though she's a legend, she's classic. She
was classy.
I feel like Kim just lived more off the hype of Big. Cardi made her own way.
True. From Full Metal Alchemist, Edward or Goku?
Do you see who is behind me? Do you see the greatest anime character in all of history?
The greatest. You right though. You right. It's getting
even though my boy has them, my name Lil Daryl moments a lot. Still, he to me in America, maybe around the world, the most recognizable anime character that's out there.
That's true.
So he is the GOAT. He the Michael Jordan, the Muhammad Ali, the Tiger Woods of anime.
True. You right. Oh, I like that. I like that comparison. Okay. Sonic or the Flash?
Sonic.
You think Sonic's faster than the Flash?
Yep.
Really?
The thing is, my thing is, if you don't get into the lore of Sonic and you don't dig deep into Sonic and you only go by the game and on the surface of Sonic, or just the cartoons or whatnot, whatever you watch, then you don't realize how fast Sonic is.
I just thought you'd be pro-human.
Nah. When it comes to fantasy, I judge the powers.
True. Okay. That was a really fun speed round. That was really good. I tried not to do like the cliche Batman versus Superman. We all know who you're gonna say, which is
Batman.
Good answer. Good.
Batman is a trained assassin. You know, Superman is just a brawler. Like he doesn't know how to fight. Batman uses more thinking. He's more now. If you had to say Batman or Iron Man, now that's a better that takes more of a thought process because you have to compare. They're both billionaires. They're both they neither has superpowers. They're both using their money to fuel their superhero crusade. So that's more of a brain teaser, which I've yet to come to a decision on. Because Batman, even though Batman is a trained assassin, Tony, in my opinion, is smarter than Bruce. And then when you think about it, Fox made all of Bruce's stuff. Bruce is a better detective, but Lucius Fox made all of Bruce's stuff when Tony actually made all of his own stuff.
True.
So when you have to put that on the Libra scale and just you got to do the pros and cons of each, which I've yet to come to a decision.
Okay, cool. I like that. You build laptops?
Yes, I build laptops and computers.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've been since I was 12. Like
What?
my first computer I got, my mom was gone, and we had Windows Millennium Edition, and it was on a compact computer.
Yeah.
And I took it apart, brand new. We had just got it for Christmas. My mom was supposed to be gone for some hours, and I took it apart. And I was just looking through it, I was like, okay, this is what this is. She came home, surprised me, computer off. Only thing she told me was, you better put it back together and it better work. That's all she told me. Yeah. She walked in her room. I put it back together, plugged everything back up, and it worked. And I've always been, my mom tells anybody this, I was always a curious child. I was always fascinated with technology. When we lived in Germany, I tried to make a Lego plane fly. And what I did was broke my race cars, took the little generators out the race cars, attached them to the wings, took popsicle sticks, put them on the generator. But asked my dad for speaker wire. He gave it to me. He didn't know what I was doing. Connected I didn't know what I was doing. I really don't remember my thought process. And I was younger than 5 doing this. And she said what I did was just took those wires and braided the positive ends together, braided the negative ends together, but stuck them in the socket, trying to get the Lego plane to fly. And I shorted out the power in the whole building.
Oh my, okay.
So she was just like, she always knew then that since that moment that I've always did experimenting with stuff. And, since I become an adult, like when reality kicks in, that adult life kicks in, that's when it's like, okay. I couldn't. It was like you can't just go out there experimenting like that again. First of all, for what you want to do is not financially feasible. I have those ideas in my head, but real life takes priority over what your imagination wants to do.
So now my follow-up question is, if I said to you, the child who's not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth, what do you think of that?
I feel like that's true. Like, if you don't show a child, if the community doesn't show its children that love and try to help those children develop, grow, and mold them in the right way, those are the children that will burn down their community. Be like, you never did nothing for me anyway. You didn't care in the first place. And it makes sense. That's why my neighborhood I come from, I grew up in the projects once. We got back to America. So, mom and dad got divorced. He went on his way. we end up in the projects. Cool. But those, my family and those, what people tend to call, like it's different now, but back then what people called gangsters, thugs, and stuff like that, taught us those life lessons, made sure we went to school. When we got out of school, would tell us, hey, go on, go do your homework. And when you got your report card for every A, like my OG, for every A I had, which I always made straight A's, I got $50 for.
Wow.
So, you had those type of people. That's why we still care about our neighborhood. But you also got those people out there that's raising these kids up to be dope boys, that's raising these kids up to be thugs and killers and murderers, and not putting the focus on education. But that just comes from different generations. Because you think about it, the people I call my OGs were born in the 60s. Maybe maybe early 70s, mid 70s. The kids that are calling nowadays, that are calling people their OGs, were born mid 80s, early 90s, maybe even mid 90s. There's a difference in thought process. Because you think about it, like nowadays, people are like, why would I go to college? It's a waste of money and everything like that. I went to college, but like if I didn't need, I don't have my degree. I dropped out my senior year at the end of the first semester, but it was due to health reasons. So, okay, but I did go to college. And that experience of dealing, because I come from a town where I went to an all-black school. Maybe 3 white kids in the whole school district. Okay, you just went Matrix on me.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi went out and then it went back in. Can you? Okay, sorry.
I see.
Let me go check 1 second. Perfect timing. Anyway, for me to grab my charger. Okay, so you're talking about, the last thing I heard was you dropped out your senior year.
Yeah, and I dropped out my senior year due to health reasons, but I did go to college. I went to where I'm from. The whole school district, public school district, was black. We may have had a few white kids sprinkled through there, but it was pretty much black. All the white kids went to private school.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I didn't want to go to an HBCU because I didn't have anything against being around my own people. It's just that I felt for me to function in the world, I needed to go and experience being around different races of people.
Yes.
So that's why I ended up going to the college I went to, because now I have to interact with white people. I have to interact with people from the Middle East. I have to interact with people from different places around the United States and around the world. Not just dealing with people I've known all my life.
True. That's true.
So for me, it was just trying to grow and get beyond my bubble.
Yes. So with that being said, we have a mutual friend.
Kevin?
Wait, so who do you... Is
Okay.
it Kevin that you know, or is it Terry that you know?
I grew up with Kevin. Kevin introduced me to Terry.
He is from... Okay, this makes sense now. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So yeah, I grew up with Kevin, and Kevin introduced me because he felt like I was perfect for that for that episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles because of my story. So, he introduced me to Terry. So, it's those type of connections that I like in life, where you take, because I know somebody and what they've gone to, what they have gone through in their life. there's this platform that I'm a part of. I feel like you'll be perfect for. Why don't you come on here and, talk about what you've been through also? Cool. I don't mind doing that. I don't like, I'm in a space now where I don't feel bad about what my journey was to get to this point.
Yeah.
I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel ashamed I had to go see a therapist for 3 years because I was dealing with depression. I don't feel ashamed that I've had, that I'm not ashamed to say that I let a woman break me mentally and emotionally, because those are growing pains. So, it is like, I'll tell anybody, I give people, thing is, I'm one of those people who can give you advice on your relationship, and you'll take that advice and apply it, and it works perfectly. But in my life, it's just like, nah, that don't work.
You do you feel comfortable sharing your health story with us?
Oh yeah, that's fine. I was a freshman in college. I was a football player. I played football, soccer, golf, all that type of stuff.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, um, my freshman year of college, I tried out for the football team. I'm 6 feet tall, and at the time, I was
Okay.
225. I was 225 pounds. I had played defensive line my whole football career. So I get to college. It's funny. I tried for the football team. So coach tells me you can't play defensive line. I'm really realizing I can't play defensive line because college and in the pros, most defensive linemen are 6'5", 300 and some pounds. I'm 6 feet, 225 pounds. Okay. So he puts me in and tells me to try out for fullback. Freshman walking on, of course, power eye straight up the middle. Of course, the offensive line parted like the Red Sea and let those folks hit me and knock all the wind out of me. But like, for some reason, I had taken hits before, but for some reason my body wasn't healing after that hit like it usually would heal. So time goes on. I'm starting to just throw up. You know, couldn't keep any food down or nothing like
Yeah.
that. And so my weight really started decreasing. So what happened was I ended up, I was dating somebody. We moved in together. And one day I was coming down the stairs in our townhouse, and I didn't feel well at all. But her uncle was going to come pick me up. We was going to go out. I remember talking to him on the phone. I was like, I'm still getting dressed. I'm gonna come downstairs, unlock the door, just come on in, and I'm gonna go back upstairs and get dressed. Hang up the phone. I walk up to the very top of the stairs, and I remember blacking out. The
Mm.
next thing I know, I wake up. I'm in a hospital with tubes, everything connected to me, and I don't know what's going on. When the doctor walks in, when the nurse walked in and told them that I was awake, that's when he came in and explained I have lupus. And at the time, they were calling it nephrotic syndrome, which was I was in the early stages of having kidney failure. So as time goes on, I get better. I'm supposed to be on this extreme medicine regimen, but I didn't have any insurance. I didn't have any Medicaid, Medicare. Couldn't afford to pay for the medicine. I figured that was a blip. So, I'm going to be all right. Due to my own neglect and the fact thinking, using a young person's mind at the time, I made my situation worse. My kidneys ended up failing, and I was like close to graduating from college and had a job at a NASA center here in Mississippi. And I was trying to, pending my graduation, I had that job in the palm of my hands because my professor told me I had the job because he ran that center. So ended up in the hospital for about 4 months, and They came back and told me they was just like, your kidneys, you have 30%. You're gonna have to go on dialysis. And the only thing I'm thinking about is, oh, and the girl I was with left me while I was in the hospital, while I was in the hospital for those 4 months. So, that just added to the depression. The fact that I feel like my life is over because I had no idea about dialysis.
Yeah.
That my life is over. She really much just left me while I was in the hospital fighting for my life, all of that. So after that, my doctor seen what I was going through because I wasn't taking dialysis seriously. I was just pretty much had given up on life.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, I really feel like you need to see a psychologist. So I started going, never told my family, went to a psychologist for 3 years, twice a month, and never told my family. Because in our community, if folks think you going to see a shrink, you crazy. And I didn't want nobody to use that against me as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So, I never told my family, my mom, nobody. So they thought I was just going to a doctor's appointment. So when I came out of that, I felt better about my life, but I was still mean.
But did you get a kidney transplant?
Yes, I got my kidney transplant on April 1st of last year.
Last year.
Yeah, my mom's birthday is on March 31st. I went to dialysis that day, hung out with my mom for her birthday, and went to sleep. Got a call at 5 something in the morning. On April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, they was like, Mr. Stewart, this is Methodist transplant clinic. We were calling it, you got a kidney. I was like, I know it's April Fool's Day. Hung up. They called again. I was like, man, y'all quit playing on my phone, bro. I don't know. Like, it's early in the morning. I'm half asleep. I'm just not registering in my head. Like, don't nobody know where I went and got where I go to, being, while I'm on the transplant list at. So my transplant coordinator calls me and she's like, I answer phone, I was like, hello, like that. She said, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Quintara Stewart. I said, yeah, this me. She said, this John Jennings. I said, and I did this right. I said, oh, hey, Miss Jennings, how you do? She was like, do you want this kidney or what? And I said, I'm on my way. And I called my mom. I said, Mom, they just called me to get my transplant. I'm finna head out. She was like, come by here and get me. Like, I went to that hospital in my pajamas. And I kept a packed bag in the trunk of my car just in case I got the call at any time. And I swung by, picked up my mom and my niece, and shot straight up to Memphis. And 3 hours later, I was having the transplant operation.
How do you feel physically now?
I still feel like I suck because I gained because I'm on powerful steroids and I've gained so much weight that it's like I feel like I suck, and I'm trying my best to get back down to 225. Like I'm 275 now. Like I've never been this big in my life. And people always tell me I don't look like I'm 275, but I feel like I'm 275.
And is this being on steroids? Is this like a forever thing?
Yeah. So the thing is, what I have to, and I talked to my doctors about this, and they told me they was just like, this is the first full year you've been on such a high dose of powerful steroids. Once your body acclimates to being on these steroids like that, the weight will come off, but you're gonna have to help it come off. So I started, doing keto, and I just recently moved to a new city, so I have to, find a good gym, which for some reason I don't know why gyms are so expensive, but I have to find a new gym or just develop my own workout at home regimen. So, it's gonna take the effort on my part also to push my body to start burning that off and find the balance where it can handle the steroids, but also continue to fight those cravings of wanting to eat and things of that nature.
But you're healthy now.
Yeah, I am. I don't have any heart disease and any anything of that nature. The form of lupus I have attacks your internal organs. That's why my
Mm-hmm.
kidneys fail. So I'm just in a space now where I know that once I get to where I want to be weight wise and continue to do what I have to do to maintain my kidney, that I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm just scared of all this weight because in my family there's a history of diabetes, things of that nature, and that's just something I never wanted to deal with.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. It's very brave of you. And that had to
I,
be very, very scary.
you know what? It never was scary because I was so checked out. It just got to the point where it is what it is. Like, I mean, if I gotta do it, I'm gonna do it. It's whatever. You know,
We were
like
talking about that earlier. Guys are so weird.
it's it's just one of them things. Whereas I'm like even when it comes to relationships in life, my new theory is whatever happens happens, because when it comes to when it comes to the mind and heart of another individual, nothing you can do. You could be the best person in the world that they've ever run across. If they don't feel you like that, they don't feel you like that. So, like, even with everything in life, to me, my mind state is whatever's written for me, there's nothing I can do to change it.
Hmm.
So I'm just gonna wake up every day and take each day one day at a time. I'm gonna do what I can to make sure that I, you know, don't end up homeless or anything like that. But as far as when it comes to the things you literally have no control over what's going to happen throughout the day or who you're going to encounter or anything like that. So my theory that I'm trying to go by is whatever happens, happens. Ain't nothing I can do to fix it, control it.
All right. So where could we like you, stalk you, follow you, all that fun stuff?
Okay, so on all my pages, I'm pretty much Quinn Stewart, even Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. But don't follow me. Go follow my podcast pages. You got the Hop Rejectz, and that's Rejects with a Z, not an S. You can go follow that page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you also have NerdFlow Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the name of our company is called Press Play Network. That's our podcasting company, the Press Play Network. We have a page on Facebook, so check that out. It gives you links to the other two pages, and we have within our network we have other podcasts. We have Three Kings. We have All Into Wrestling. When you check us out on YouTube. Oh, we also have a YouTube page, NerdFlow Podcast. We're working on the Hip Hop Rejectz at this moment. But we have Three Kings, we have Anime Rundown, you
said Three Kings?
Yeah, Three Kings, which is my guy Royalty and two of our friends, just married guys, talking about family, things they encounter as being family men with children and stuff like that. We have All Into Wrestling, which is of course talking about wrestling. And I have a show called Anime Rundown, which I've been on hiatus on because anime news is really not popping right now. So I just been on hiatus from it. And we got more shows to come. We got a sports show coming. We and we're interested in, developing other content. So, we're getting to the point where we're actually trying to build a network that will be solely for podcasters, where you don't have to stream. What we want to do is be that catalyst for you, where only thing you have to do is just record your show and we distribute it to all the platforms for you.
That's so sick.
So that's what we've been working on. It's been our project, but the main focus is doing it for our content. And once we get it rolling, because right now we're on anywhere you can find a podcast, both shows. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we're on it. And that's what we want to do for other people. The thing is, in the era we live in, it's just like, anybody can press a YouTube video and find out how to do a podcast. The thing is, do you want the training, the live training to do it, to show you how to do it? Or do you want to watch a video and then do it on your own? It's just decides, that's the way we're going. Or is it that you just want, how to do your own podcast, but you want to be a part of an organization?
Sure. Yeah.
So
looking for the second one.
So that's basically what our, that's what Press Play Network is. And we will be developing other content. We have artists, so we're trying to get people to, develop their own manga, their own, script writing, everything. Press Play is going to evolve into a network that independent people can come through, that the big companies overlook, and we're going to put you out there.
Word.
So
I dig that. Okay. And then last question.
Okay.
What's for dinner tonight, chef?
I'm not cooking tonight.
What?
I haven't cooked for the last 3 nights. This is like I'm going tonight. My dinner is pretty much going to be a salad from Walmart and some water, and I'm gonna go to bed because I got to be up at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Oh Jesus! And you got to record tonight.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where ain't nothing popping in the kitchen.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Quinn. I always want to call you Q. Can I call you Q? No, don't call you Q. Okay.
Q has such a bad connotation right now.
Yeah.
Just call me Quinn.
Okay. Unless you are Q, then
No, I have.
You're so sorry. All right.
No way.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you guys so much for viewing. Definitely check out his podcast. I'm listening to NerdFlow all the time, and I just found out about Hop Rejectz yesterday. So there always is Silly Goose time, always a good time. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Appreciate you, Ashley.